G'day, g'day. My name's Alan Gamble. Welcome to another episode of Aussie Box Office Charts, Weekend 41. Let's dive in to this mess. At number one, we have Tron Ares. Everyone expected it to land number one. I don't think anyone expected it to open quite that low. That is the 22nd highest opening of the year, and Tron Ares was playing in 529 screens, which should have put it in around the $4.5 to $5 million range, alongside things like Mission Impossible, the MCU movies, and How to Train Your Dragon, stuff like that. So for it to open to 2.2 million is not a smash hit for Disney. However, apart from that, the rest of the top five is identical to last week. The Bad Guys 2 are at number 2 with another $1.3 million, dropping 45% in its fourth week of release for a current total of $14.1 million. One Battle After Another is in third with another $1 million in its third week of release, dropping 31% for a current total of $6.1 million. Kangaroo is at number 4 with another $500,000 in its fourth week of release, dropping 39% for a current total of $4.6 million. And rounding out the top 5 is Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, with another $500,000. Its fourth week in release, dropping 41% for a current total of $4.4 million. Now, some of those big drops on those family movies, that is because the kids are back at school. So we have the holiday boost dropping off. That's our top 5. Let's move on to 6 through 10. At number 6, we have The Travelers opening with just under $500,000, which is a new Aussie drama. So it's good to see an Aussie movie up the charts there. At number 7, we have Kantara, a Legend Chapter 1 in its second week of release with another $400,000, dropping 24%, which is great for an Indian movie, for a current total of $1.4 million. At number 8, we have The Conjuring Last Rites with another $300,000. Its sixth week in release, dropping 39% for a current total of $14.7 million. That's a franchise high for that one. Downton Abbey rounds out number 9 with another $240,000. Its fifth week in release, dropping 37% for a current total of $6.2 million. Unlike The Conjuring Last Rites, that is a franchise low for Downton Abbey. And rounding out the top 10, Demon Slayer, with another $200,000, its fifth week in release, dropping 48% for a current total of $10.055 million. And why I drill down on that exact amount is that is about $70,000 short of being the highest grossing anime of all time in Australian history, adjusted for inflation. Because Pokemon, a first movie, sits at about $10.127 million. So it is so close to taking that title. Opening outside the top 10, we have The Smashing Machine, which is in 11th in its second week due to a mix-up with its opening numbers being missing. Beast of War opened in 17th with about $48,000, and we have no numbers for A House of Dynamite, which I did see, but Netflix doesn't like reporting box office numbers, so we don't know how much it made. My cinema was actually fairly full for A House of Dynamite. In fact, there were more people in my screening of A House of Dynamite than there was in my screening of Tron Ares. So we'll see how that turns out. But that is our top 10 for this week. Taking a look at the TRON franchise and its box office performance in Australia, no figures for TRON in 1982, the original, because it was in 1982, and box office reporting for anything outside of the highest grossing movie of the year doesn't exist. TRON Legacy in 2010 opened to $3.3 million, and there you can see TRON Ares in 2025 opened to $2.2 million. So it couldn't even match a movie that came out 15 years ago, unadjusted for inflation. These are base numbers, so that's not ideal for this franchise. I really like Tron Legacy. I would never call it a great movie, but it's still a movie I enjoy. I didn't enjoy Tron Ares. So that's what Tron looks like. Disappointments all around for that one. No updates again for the 2025 top 10 for the Australian box office, so everything released in calendar year 2025. This is how the top 10 currently stands. A Minecraft movie at number 1, Lilo and Stitch at number 2, Jurassic World Rebirth holds number 3, How to Train Your Dragon at number 4, F1 the Movie at number 5, Superman is at number 6, Mission Impossible The Final Reckoning at number 7, number 8 is The Fantastic Four First Steps, and Paddington in Peru at number 9, Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy rounds out the top 10. There are a couple of movies that are around that $14 million mark, including The Bad Guys 2, which is still at number 2 in the box office, so it could creep on here over the next week or two. We will have to see. Moving over to what's upcoming this week, 16th of October, in wide release, we have The Black Phone 2, the sequel to the surprise hit from 2022, once again written and directed by Scott Derrickson and starring Mason Thames and Ethan Hawke alongside Madeline McGraw. We also have Roofman, a new crime comedy starring Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, and Lakeith Stanfield. I will be trying to check that one out on Saturday. We have Night of the Zoopocalypse, a new animated comedy from director Rodrigo Perez Castro and Ricardo Curtis about animals turning into zombies in a zoo. Should be fun if you're so inclined. We also have After the Hunt, a new thriller from Luca Guadagnino, starring Julia Roberts, Ayo Edebiri, Andrew Garfield, and Chloe Sevigny. In limited release, we do have the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the 50th anniversary. So if you're a fan of that one, rock up and have a fun time, because I know everyone loves it and everyone sings along. Like, you don't go there expecting a quiet cinema to Rocky Horror Picture Show. Let's jump over to streaming. In new releases, we just have She Walks in Darkness, a new Spanish thriller about an officer going undercover in a terrorist organization for a decade, and you can catch that one on Netflix on the 17th of October. In returning series, we have The Diplomat, returning for Season 3 on the 16th of October on Netflix. Tracker Season 3 returns on October the 20th, which can be on Paramount Plus, I believe, in Australia. And we also have Ghost returning for Season 5, which should be caught on Stan in Australia on the 16th of October, if that is something you're keen for. So with only 3 challenge movies this week due to some other things I had on, let's dive into what I did watch. First up was The Lost Bus from this year, directed by Paul Greengrass and starring Matthew McConaughey and America Ferrera. Based on the 2018 California bushfires and based on a true story of a bus driver who had to get kids out of some huge bushfires back in that day. I enjoyed this movie, small scale in scope, but still highly important stakes to the characters involved. It reminded me of that era of disaster movies in the 90s before they got all big and world-ending where, oh no, the entire Earth is going to be destroyed. No, take me back to Twister or Volcano or Dante's Peak. This reminded me a lot more of that era, which was great. Next up was also from 2025 was Tron Ares, directed by Roshan Roning and starring Jared Leto and Greta Lee. We've already talked a lot about Tron, but the Legacy sequel for the Tron franchise, this one telling the tale of the hunt for the Permanence Code, which would allow for digital characters to stay in the real world, but then it didn't make sense given the ending of the events of the previous movie, but I guess whatever. Who watches a previous movie before watching a new movie, right? Clearly not the writers. But it was fine. Meh at best, apart from the sequences that were an awesome 9 Inch Nails music video. Then it rocked. And lastly was The Forgotten Battle from 2020, directed by, and I'm going to butcher this name and I apologize, Mathis Van Huygen Jr. and starring Gilles Blum, Jamie Flatters and Susan Rader. Giving us the story of a battle in the final years of World War II, and namely the Battle of Shelf, a solid 3-perspective war movie that puts a light on one of those less known conflicts in World War II. Some of the character stories are better than others, but it's a fairly solid all-round war movie that has not been talked about that much that I've seen. I found this on a hidden gems list, and while not all of it worked, enough of it did that I didn't regret watching it. So a solid little war movie there. For this week's challenge, it's character buildings. So homes and apartments that feel like a character, hotels and motels, hospitals, schools and institutions, or towers and workplaces. Things like home, house, apartment, mansion are keywords for this. So we've got things like Dread or Dead Poet Society, Hotel Mumbai or Hotel Rwanda. We've got a lot of options here, but let's have a look at my shortlist. I've got things like Roadhouse, Goodbye Dragon Inn, One of Them Days, Kimmy, Boiler Room, Roofman I'll be catching, which will be perfect for it, Eileen, Glass Onion, so we'll see how we go. But that is it for me this week. Tune in next week where we will be looking at the success or failure of the Black Phone 2 and Roofman that I will be catching because I'm very keen for it. I think Channing Tatum is absolutely amazing at his comedic timings. I'm going to try and catch both Roofman and A Ballad of a Small Player, which is another Netflix early release. So I have a deal with Netflix where the only money they get from me is when they release things theatrically or on physical media. And I will give them money and go and see them then. But if they don't want my money, they don't have to do that. So that is my personal line in the sand with Netflix. I don't subscribe. But that is how we look at it. I like to put my money where my mouth is. I like them to release things theatrically and then I reward them if they do. But that is it for me this week. Have a good one. Watch more movies and I'll see you next week. Bye.